Think you know Neanderthals? Chances are, you're picturing grunting, club-wielding cavemen who only ate raw meat. But what if I told you that their diet was far more complex and surprisingly sophisticated? In today's video, we're diving deep into Neanderthal cuisine, prehistoric diets revealed. You'll discover what they really ate, from big game to wild plants, how they prepared their meals, and what this tells us about their intelligence and culture. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more fascinating journeys into our ancient past. Ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about caveman food? Let's get started. Beyond the caveman, when most people think of Neanderthals, the image that springs to mind is often one shaped by popular culture: grunting, brutish cavemen, wielding clubs, eating raw meat, and living simple, harsh lives. They're often portrayed as primitive, unintelligent, and little more than distant, less evolved relatives of modern humans. But this stereotype, while persistent, couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, Neanderthals were incredibly resourceful and intelligent beings who thrived in diverse environments across Europe and parts of Asia for hundreds of thousands of years. Recent archaeological discoveries have begun to rewrite their story, revealing a complex lifestyle, sophisticated tools, and yes, a surprisingly varied and thoughtful diet. So, where did this come from? For much of the 19th and early 20th centuries, scientific understanding was limited, and the evidence was incomplete. Early fossils and stone tools were often interpreted through the lens of human superiority and linear progress, leading to an oversimplified and unfair characterization of Neanderthals as mere cavemen. Movies and media amplified this image, embedding it deep into public consciousness. However, modern science is finally catching up with the facts. Advances in archaeology, paleontology, and technology have opened new windows into the past. We now know that Neanderthals were far from the slow, crude beings they were once thought to be. For starters, the discovery of burial sites shows that Neanderthals had rituals and possibly spiritual beliefs, which hints at a level of cognitive and emotional complexity. They made intricate tools, crafted clothing from animal hides, and controlled fire, not just for warmth, but for cooking and protection. These were not the reckless creatures of stereotype. They were skilled survivors. When it comes to their diet, the old assumption that Neanderthals were exclusively carnivores living off raw meat is also being challenged. Archaeological evidence suggests their diets were actually quite varied and adapted to their surroundings. While they certainly hunted large game like mammoths, reindeer, and bison, critical sources of protein and fat, they also gathered a wide range of plant foods, including fruits, nuts, seeds, and roots. How do we know this? Microscopic analysis of dental plaque has revealed tiny remains of plants and cooked starches stuck to their teeth. This means they didn't just eat meat. They cooked and consumed plants too, which would have required knowledge of seasonal cycles and edible species. Some studies even suggest the use of medicinal plants, indicating an understanding of natural remedies. Additionally, Neanderthal diets likely varied by region and climate. Those living in colder, harsher environments might have relied more heavily on meat and fat to survive, while others in milder regions enjoyed a more balanced menu that included abundant plant foods. This adaptability shows a nuanced understanding of their environment and available resources. Moreover, their food procurement wasn't a solitary activity. Evidence points to communal hunting and food sharing, highlighting social bonds and cooperation traits closely linked to intelligence and cultural development. By dispelling these outdated, we begin to appreciate Neanderthals not as primitive brutes, but as our intelligent, adaptable cousins. Their ability to survive for hundreds of thousands of years in varying climates speaks volumes about their ingenuity and resilience. So, as we continue this journey, keep in mind, the story of Neanderthal cuisine is not just about food. It's about challenging assumptions, celebrating complexity, and recognizing the deep roots of human culture and intelligence. Next, we'll explore the diverse foods on the Neanderthal menu and the incredible tools they used to gather and prepare their meals. Stay tuned. The hunter-gatherer's pantry. When we think about ancient diets, the image that often comes to mind is of early humans chasing down massive beasts and feasting on their meat. And while big game hunting was certainly a crucial part of Neanderthal life, their dietary habits were far more diverse and surprisingly sophisticated. This wasn't just a story of brute force, it was a story of adaptation, knowledge, and resourcefulness. Neanderthals inhabited a wide range of environments, from cold steppe landscapes to temperate forests. This diversity meant that their diets varied significantly depending on what nature offered. In the colder, more open areas, large animals like mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, reindeer, and bison were important sources of food. Hunting these animals required teamwork, planning, and skill, as they could be dangerous and difficult to take down. Neanderthals used carefully crafted spears and other tools to bring down their prey, demonstrating strategic thinking and advanced hunting techniques. But it wasn't just about the big game. Archaeological evidence shows that Neanderthals also hunted smaller animals such as rabbits, birds, and fish. These smaller creatures provided important sources of protein and fat, especially during times when large game was scarce. Trapping, fishing, and gathering eggs were all part of their survival toolkit. This variety in protein sources points to a flexible approach to food, one that balanced opportunity with necessity. Perhaps even more surprising is the growing evidence that plants played a vital role in Neanderthal diets. For decades, the idea that Neanderthals were primarily meat-eaters overshadowed the importance of plant foods, but this view is changing rapidly. Studies analyzing dental calculuses, essentially fossilized plaque, have revealed microscopic particles of plants, including starch, granules, and pollen. This means Neanderthals consumed fruits, nuts, seeds, roots, and tubers, which they likely gathered from their surroundings. Plant foods provided important nutrients like carbohydrates, vitamins, and fiber, which are crucial for health and energy. Some plants might have been used for medicinal purposes, showing an early knowledge of herbal remedies. For example, traces of yarrow and chamomile, known for their healing properties, have been found, suggesting that Neanderthals understood how to use plants to treat illnesses or injuries. The availability and variety of edible plants would have depended heavily on the climate and environment. In warmer, forested regions, fruits, nuts, and leafy greens were more abundant and likely a larger part of the diet. In contrast, harsher, colder regions might have limited plant availability, pushing Neanderthals to rely more on animal fats and proteins to meet their energy needs. This regional variation highlights their adaptability and intimate understanding of local ecosystems. It's important to remember that gathering plants is no easy task. It requires knowledge of which species are edible, when they are ripe, and how to prepare them safely, skills that would have been passed down through generations. The presence of grinding stones and other tools at some Neanderthal sites suggests that they processed plant foods, perhaps making them easier to digest or more palatable. All these findings reveal a hunter-gatherer pantry that was both diverse and balanced, combining the nutritional benefits of animals and plants. Far from being simple meat-eaters, Neanderthals managed to make use of a wide array of resources, optimizing their diet according to what was available. Their culinary habits were part of a broader cultural system, tied to social cooperation and survival strategies. Hunting large game likely involved coordinated group efforts, while gathering plants may have been more individual or small group activities. Sharing food within the group would have strengthened social bonds and increased the chances of survival during tough times. Understanding the hunter-gatherer pantry of Neanderthals helps us see them as complex beings with a deep connection to their environment. It challenges the outdated image of them as mere meat-chomping brutes and opens a window into their daily lives, where knowledge, skill, and adaptability were key. Next, we'll take a closer look at the fascinating tools Neanderthals used, not just to hunt and butcher but also to prepare their meals, revealing even more about their culinary ingenuity. Stay with us. Tools of the prehistoric chef. When we imagine prehistoric humans preparing their meals, the image of rough, unrefined tools often comes to mind. But Neanderthals were far from clumsy or unskilled. Their toolkits reveal an impressive level of ingenuity, craftsmanship, and even culinary innovation. Understanding their tools gives us a window into how they hunted, processed, and prepared their food, far beyond what the caveman stereotype suggests. Neanderthals made a variety of sophisticated stone tools, carefully shaped to suit specific purposes. Flint, chert, and other stones were expertly chipped and flaked to create sharp edges for cutting, scraping, and piercing. These tools were essential not just for hunting big game, but also for butchering animals efficiently. Cutting meat from bones, stripping hides, and cracking bones for marrow extraction all required precision and skill. Some of the most remarkable tools are their spears. Unlike simple wooden sticks, Neanderthal spears were often carefully shaped and balanced for throwing or thrusting. Experimental archaeology has shown that these weapons could be surprisingly effective at bringing down large animals from a distance, requiring planning, coordination, and advanced motor skills. But Neanderthal culinary skills didn't stop at hunting and butchering. Archaeological sites have uncovered evidence that they used fire not just for warmth or protection, but as a vital tool for cooking. Charred bones, hearths, and even pits lined with stones suggest that Neanderthals roasted meat and possibly boiled food. The use of fire would have made food easier to digest, safer to eat, and more flavorful, challenging the myth that they ate raw meat exclusively. What's more, some sites have revealed grinding stones and other implements that indicate plant processing. These tools would have been used to crush seeds, nuts, and roots, perhaps even to make primitive flours or pastes. This kind of food preparation shows a surprising level of culinary knowledge, as well as patience and skill. Food preparation also had social dimensions. Sharing a cooked meal around a fire would have been a communal event, strengthening social bonds and cooperation. Preparing food required time and effort, suggesting that Neanderthals valued the experience, not just the sustenance. It's also worth noting that food preparation tools vary depending on the environment. Neanderthals living in forested areas might have relied more on tools suited for plant gathering and processing, while those in open steppe regions focused on hunting implements. This adaptability further emphasizes their intelligence and connection to their surroundings. Experimental archaeology, where researchers recreate Neanderthal tools and techniques, has been invaluable in understanding their capabilities. Watching how replicated spears perform, or how grinding stones work, helps bring to life the skills and knowledge required to survive and thrive. Neanderthals' use of fire, specialized tools, and food processing techniques paints a picture of a species that understood the importance of food preparation in health, social structure, and culture. Far from the simplistic notion of savage raw-meat-eating brutes, they were innovative cooks in their own right. By examining their tools, we gain insight not only into their diets, but also into their cognitive abilities, planning ahead, working together, and transmitting knowledge across generations. These are hallmarks of human behavior, showing that Neanderthals shared more in common with us than we once believed. Next, we explore the fascinating scientific methods researchers used to uncover what Neanderthals ate and what that reveals about their evolution. Stay tuned. Feast for thought. Evidence and evolution. Understanding what Neanderthals ate. Just guesswork at S. A fascinating scientific puzzle that researchers have been piecing together using cutting-edge techniques. Thanks to advances in archaeology, biology, and chemistry, we can now explore the diets of these ancient relatives in remarkable detail. This section dives into the evidence and evolutionary insights gained from studying their food. One of the most surprising sources of information comes from dental plaque, the stuff that builds up on our teeth. Scientists have discovered that ancient dental plaque can trap microscopic food particles, pollen, and even bits of cooked starch. By analyzing fossilized plaque from Neanderthal teeth, researchers have identified traces of plants, cooked foods, and even medicinal herbs. This microscopic window into their meals reveals a diet far more varied than previously imagined. But dental plaque is just the beginning. Another key technique involves analyzing stable isotopes in Neanderthal bones. Isotopes are variants of chemical elements that can reveal clues about what an individual ate over their lifetime. For example, certain ratios of carbon and nitrogen isotopes can indicate how much meat versus plant material made up their diet. Studies of Neanderthal bones from different regions show that while many relied heavily on animal protein, plant consumption was also significant, especially in milder climates. Ancient DNA analysis is also transforming our understanding. DNA extracted from sediment in caves, and even from the remains themselves, can tell us what species of animals and plants were present in Neanderthal habitats and, likely, part of their diet. This genetic detective work helps paint a detailed picture of the ecosystems Neanderthals lived in and their food choices. What's fascinating is how these dietary insights connect to broader evolutionary and social trends. As Neanderthals developed more advanced tools and social structures, their diets seem to have shifted and diversified. Cooking methods improved, allowing them to access new nutrients and make food more digestible. The inclusion of plant foods and medicinal herbs suggests a growing knowledge of natural resources beyond mere survival. These dietary shifts may have had profound evolutionary implications. Access to a balanced diet, rich in protein, fats, carbohydrates, and micronutrients, would have supported brain development, physical health, and social cooperation. It's possible that nutrition played a role in shaping Neanderthal behavior and their ability to compete or coexist with early modern humans. Moreover, understanding Neanderthal diets challenges us to reconsider what it means to be primitive. They're diverse and adaptable. Nutrition reflects intelligence, culture, and ecological awareness, not the crude simplicity often portrayed in the media. The study of Neanderthal cuisine also offers insights relevant today. By learning how ancient humans adapted to changing environments and resources, we gain perspective on sustainability and dietary flexibility. The idea of an ancestral diet, one that varies with location, season, and available plants and animals, resonates with modern discussions about balanced and sustainable eating. As researchers continue to develop new methods, we can expect even more surprising discoveries about Neanderthal life and diet. Each piece of evidence adds to a richer, more accurate understanding of these fascinating ancestors. So, what does this mean for us? It means that Neanderthals were far more than the caveman caricature. Their diet tells a story of adaptability, intelligence, and connection to the world around them, a story that continues to inspire and inform our own relationship with food and nature. Next, we'll explore what the Neanderthal legacy means for us today, and how their culinary heritage challenges modern assumptions. Don't go anywhere. Neanderthal legacy, what can we learn? As we wrap up our journey through Neanderthal cuisine, it's worth pausing to consider the bigger picture. What does their story teach us about ourselves, our past, and even our future? For a long time, Neanderthals have been cast as primitive others, brutish, unintelligent, and biologically inferior to modern humans. But the evidence we've explored challenges those outdated ideas. Their diverse diets, sophisticated tools, and social food-sharing habits reveal a species with intelligence, adaptability, and culture. They were not merely surviving. They were thriving in some of the toughest environments on Earth. This realization invites us to rethink what primitive really means. Intelligence and culture are not about flashy technology alone. They're also about knowledge of the environment, innovation, and cooperation. Neanderthals mastered the resources around them, used fire for cooking, gathered plants with medicinal value, and built social bonds through communal meals. These are hallmarks of humanity, not signs of primitiveness. So why does this matter to us today? For one, it reminds us that human history is not a straight line of progress from savage to civilized. Instead, it's a complex web of diverse species and cultures, each adapting to their unique circumstances. Neanderthals are part of our shared story, ancestors who contributed to the genetic and cultural fabric of modern humans. Beyond history, their culinary legacy offers surprising insights into modern debates about diet and sustainability. The idea of an ancestral diet has gained popularity, often portrayed simplistically as just eating meat or avoiding processed foods. But the Neanderthal example shows us that ancient diets were balanced and very tailored to local environments and seasonal availability. They ate meat and plants, used fire and tools to prepare food, and practiced sharing within groups. This approach to eating aligns with many modern ideas about sustainable and mindful consumption. Eating what's available and local, minimizing waste, and valuing the social experience of meals. Neanderthals lived in tune with their environment, not in opposition to it. Their example encourages us to reconsider how we relate to food and nature today. Moreover, understanding Neanderthals' dietary intelligence opens a window into early human cognition. Food preparation involves planning, foresight, cooperation, and even cultural transmission skills that define us as human. As we look back through the lens of prehistoric diets, we gain not only scientific knowledge but a profound sense of wonder. The Neanderthal story challenges stereotypes, enriches our understanding of evolution, and invites us to celebrate the creativity and resilience of our ancient cousins. So next time you sit down to eat, think about the long journey of human cuisine from the fires of prehistoric campsites to the tables of today. Our food carries echoes of millions of years of adaptation, culture, and shared experience. The Neanderthals remind us that this story is as much about community and ingenuity as it is about survival. Thank you for joining this exploration into Neanderthal cuisine. If you enjoyed this deep dive into prehistoric diets and want to uncover more hidden stories of our ancient past, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. There's so much more waiting to be discovered. Until next time, keep wondering, keep exploring, and appreciate the rich, complex legacy that shapes who we are today.